your name at the top of his list. And the Statue of Liberty started shaking her fist, and the eagle will fly, and it's gonna be here. I brought to you courtesy of the red, white, and blue.
It's time for Veterans Issues, the show that brings you information about veterans, military, and their family. Now here's your host, Ken Rollins.
Welcome to Veterans Issues. Ken Rollins here. Today's guest is a former colonel in the United States Army. It's Colonel John Grimes. Got a very interesting story and something about the outpost out in Bynum that you're going to be very interested in. So stay tuned, get you a pencil, pen, and we'll be right back. Welcome back into Veterans Issues. This week's guest is I just met him a while back and very interested in the story, but I met him at a place that we all like. It's down in Bynum. It's called the Outpost. It's a Army surplus store that kind of like a candy ward for a diabetic. It is really, you can get attracted to it. But Colonel John Grimes is my guest, and I have to look at it because he's got such a title. And I cut it down. He's a Director of Intelligence Analytics, and he's assistant professor at the University of Alabama, Birmingham. Welcome to the show, Colonel.
My privilege to be here.
Good to have you. And we've been, I don't know which way to go with this show because there's so many different ways for the intelligence to work, and we're going to talk some about that. But first of all, something background on you. Are you from locally in Alabama or?
Well, I was born and raised in Birmingham, Alabama. I had the privilege of going to grammar school, high school, college, and law school, all within about a couple of miles of one another there in Birmingham. I'm a UAB graduate and then also a graduate of the Cumberland School of Law in Sanford, just over the mountain. Joined the Army in 1983, right after I had passed the bar exam. And then 30 years later, 2013, I'm back here being repatriated, if you will, with my alumni, and tickled to death to be here.
You know, you said I'm from Birmingham. You know who George Goober Lindsay is?
Oh, yeah.
We were backstage at Grand Ole Opry one time, and I knew he was from Jasper, Alabama. Mm-hmm. And I was trying to strike up a conversation, and I said, I'm from Birmingham. He said, no, you ain't. I said, yes, I am. He said, no, you ain't. Ain't nobody from Birmingham. And he said, you're from Inslee or Fairfield or something. And I says, well, I am from Midfield. He said, see, I told you. So when you said I'm from Birmingham, are you from Birmingham?
Yeah, Southside Birmingham. That's right. Glen Iris, Ramsey, UAB, and Sanford.
Well, he'd have said, no, yeah. Anyhow, Carl, you came down here and you purchased the outpost out in Bynum.
I did.
The Army surplus place. What brought you that? Did you just like what you saw in there?
Well, I tell you, the very first time I went in there, which was a number of years ago, it was like taking a trip back in time. Mm-hmm. And met Mr. and Ms. Walker. I met then Mike, their son, who had a store in Talladega for a while. And so while I was overseas, Mr. Sam passed away, and I was staying in touch with Mike, and here just recently was the first opportunity I had to go by and to see Ms. Joyce after returning from Afghanistan last year. Mm-hmm.
Well, that family has just been so good to me and my family, and I say my family too, the veteran family in this community and active duty. I could go in there at any time during the day and see a young military folks in there. I never figured out what all they were shopping for, but there's it's just so many things just really go crazy over when you go in there. I could go broke just sitting there in that one place. With the Duck Dynasty camo, that's the first one. I mean, that's real camo now.
That's right.
So you've purchased that, but you're going to relocate that facility, I understand.
That's correct. I bought the business and the contents, but not the property.
Yeah.
And so working with a few of my colleagues and other veterans from 20th Special Forces Group, headquartered here locally, we're looking to sell what we can for the end of the month, pack up everything else, move it into storage, and then try to find a place that we can open a storefront for retail trade that we can use as a base for taking these types of items to gun shows and trade shows and that kind of thing within driving distance. And then the third prong of our business plan is selling on the internet. We could reach all over the world.
Yeah, that so someone out there that has a place like that, a standalone facility or connecting facility. I'm gonna give you a phone number, and this is where the pen comes in. It's 205-329-9112, and I'll probably give you that later on. It's 205-329-9112 if you know of a place that Colonel Grimes might be interested in for another outpost. But for this weekend, and when I say this weekend, the dates are the 23rd of January through the 25th.
Right. You're
going to have a sale. What is it going to be, like half off or?
Well, that's Thursday through Saturday. And what we'll have is, and again, it's like a trip back in time.
Yeah.
When you walk in there. We'll have some things that are available for purchase directly on the spot, just like it always has been. Mm-hmm. We'll have other things that are available for bid, and we'll accept those sealed bids, and then we'll open those bids at noon on Saturday. And for instance, we've got one area that is segregated as a World War II area. We've got another area, World War I collectibles area. And so there'll be something there for everybody. And we really encourage people to come by to bring their kids. Everybody's welcome, and especially love to use that as an opportunity to welcome some veterans back home.
I've seen a twinkle in some World War II veterans' eyes as their daughter or someone bring them there, and they see those old mess kits and those old entrenching tools. You still have those, I guess.
We sure do. Even the Brown Shoe Army, as they call it.
Lord have mercy. And that was, matter of fact, some of our honor guards have boots from down there. There's so many things, like the knife, as I say, a knife collection, but the display of knives are just, that hits you when you walk in the door. And even though I don't need a knife or something, I gotta have a knife because I see those so cool. It's like you could have a traveling knife show with that. But the clothing, the pants, the shirts, the jackets, and it's still cold out there, they got something to get you warm in there.
Absolutely. And Ken, you know, we could have just packed up and moved off in the middle of the night, but we didn't want to do that.
Yeah.
What we wanted to do was to invite folks in, get one last look at it, get what they need. Yeah, we are going to have to go underground for a while as we're looking for a place to land. Sure. But if we can get a roster of the people that are there, we'll then be able to reach out to them directly and let them know exactly where we end up opening.
Well, the same folks that are sitting here, you're going to tell them to stay tuned to TV 24.
Absolutely.
And we will have it on our website. We'll have it on the YouTube, and we'll have you back on here to talk about where you've landed again. But it's such a nice facility. It's part of our community here. If there's ever something that was part of the community, that was a place. I mean, I could go there and I see people come in that sit there and talk to Sam and they never buy a thing, but they feel like that they had purchased everything at a discount and didn't have anything when they walked out. But they just got to hold it. They just some of the things, but some of the things, it's not just for males. There's a lot of things there for females that
absolutely, and of all ages.
Yeah. Yeah, you mean for old folks like that.
I am joining the club rapidly.
That beats the alternative.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, we got less than a minute in this one. I want to when we come back, we're going to talk about what you're doing with I was really surprised that there is a intelligence community at the University of Alabama, Birmingham, and what you're doing over there and what they're doing in connection with veterans. And I was surprised to see that. And I've been doing the veteran stuff for so many years that I think my middle name sometimes is veteran. So we got to go to a break. Stay where you are. When come back, we're going to talk more with Colonel Grimes about the outpost and the intelligence over at UAB. Stay right there. Be right back. Welcome back in, folks. We have a little giggling going back on here in the control room, and y'all don't know what goes on during commercial, but I do, and somebody's going to get a spanking today. I may have to get that belt out and get them legs. But anyhow, we're talking with Colonel John Grimes, retired, and we were talking about the outpost. But now let's transition over to, you work at University of Alabama, UAB. Tell me what you do over there, and let's get into that.
Sure. Well, Ken, you know, it wasn't that long ago that intelligence was a 4-letter word on a college campus. And I credit my alma mater, University of Alabama at Birmingham, for providing me the opportunity when I returned in February of 12, and then I joined the center in May of 2012, to head up their intelligence analytics. And the idea here is that we're going to bring back those time-tested analytical processes that have been operated in classified environments over these years and make those techniques, tactics, and procedures available to private industry, to people that, because the taxpayer own that, and we're looking forward to doing that. Now, the center that I've joined is a long name. They came up with it while I was overseas, the Center for Information Assurance and Joint Forensics Research.
I wouldn't dare to say that.
I would just say all things cyber and all things forensic.
Let me stop you there. What you're doing at UAB in law enforcement,
Right.
Be a recipient of that intelligence?
Absolutely. The cybercrime is one of our 8 pillars. And the thing that really intrigued me most and sealed the deal for me, Ken, was that at UAB, our center brings together all of the natural science forensics, forensic biology, forensic chemistry, the CSI kind of stuff, with digital forensics, the cyber forensics. And so being a lawyer but also being a military intelligence professional for 30 years, something just told me this is where I need to be.
That the cyber issue we're experiencing, as we sit here today, we're looking at the NSA monitoring, and we're looking at the target, and I'm a recipient of that. I use my target card during that, and it's caused me a lot of stress because I'm now having to change my password on my account, and I have to keep checking to make sure something hadn't hit it. And every time I see a little something on there that don't look right, I call the bank, because if they could reward me for stress, they owe me a lot of money. But the cyber is so easy. We're talking about with the new Affordable Care Act. One of the concerns there is tapping into that. That's what you're into?
Exactly. We do work for Walmart, but we don't do work for Target, and they're somewhat specific about that. But what we oftentimes do is go in and help them conduct those kind of security audits to develop a lessons learned and then a best business practices afterwards. A lot of people ask me, John, what can I do to protect myself? And you mentioned all the things that, the main thing though is do not use the same platform, the same handheld computer, whatever, for your social media that you do anything of a financial nature. The best way to protect yourself with financial data is go down, buy a computer, you can get one for a couple $100 now, connect it with landline to the internet. Don't download any cookies. Don't use it for anything but just your financial transactions, and then turn it off when you're done. Now, a lot of folks say, that's not convenient. I don't want to do that. Well, we're making trade-offs.
You just gave me another worry because I do both. I do one with social media because I'm a Facebook nut. But that's the real time now. But let me go retro.
Sure.
I'm going to preface this by saying, there's certain things you can say and there's certain things you can't say, and having carried a top secret clearance for many years in my life, you were involved to some extent with the capture of Osama bin Laden. You had something to do, you had a part to play. You were one of the...
One of many big plays.
Many. Oh, yeah, it takes a lot.
You may remember back in the summer of 2010, General Petraeus had convinced General Obama that just like the surge of 20,000 troops in Iraq was such a good thing to bring it to an end, that he convinced him to do with 30,000 troops into Afghanistan. Even though when I returned from Afghanistan in 2003, I told I'd never have to go back, the phone rang, and sure enough, I was asked to assemble a team of analysts for the National Ground Intelligence Center, about 180, to go into theater to support that surge, 30,000 additional soldiers. I was there all of calendar 11 and early 12, and what I can say about that 1-2 May 2011 event is that as an intelligence professional, we try to prepare the operators as best we can for any contingency that we can anticipate. But when we see them launch and the aircraft cross the horizon, the only thing we can do is to surveil every sensor network available to us for any evidence of mission compromise, and this is not classified, it's in the public domain and open source, that there was one and only one that night. And what it was a Twitter feed talking about social media. Traveling salesman there living near Abbottabad was doing his expense account report, heard a loud boom. Now the boom he heard was when we had to detonate in place one of the Black Hawk helicopters that was damaged on entry. And he tweeted and said, "Wow, I just heard a loud noise in the neighborhood. I wonder if there's any problem." What I can say about that is when we learned of that, I was about 100 miles west of the objective in Jalalabad at that time, just inside the Pakistan border. When we learned of that, we reported it. We recommended that by all indications it was an isolated event, should not affect the mission profile, and as you know, the mission did not abort, and they did complete quite successfully.
Well, I don't want us to run out of time, but there was a movie called Zero Dark 30 that we talked about in the green room earlier that a large portion of that was true and factual.
Right.
Of course, for Hollywood. I didn't get to ask you this. Have you seen the movie Lone Survivor?
I have not.
You was in Afghanistan and when all this was going on. I'm going to give you some advice.
Sure.
Go see it, but don't go see it because it is, to this day, it's so emotional for me to see it. I mean, I say you got to go see it, but go make sure there's somebody there with you because it is an awesome, and I'm saying that I'm 60 years old and it's the best movie I ever saw in my life. And I'm talking Saving Private Ryan, all of them. It gives you a different appreciation and the atmosphere, the mountains and stuff in Afghanistan, but that is rough looking as it really.
Oh, every bit. I have read the book. I know Marcus Luttrell. All the SEAL teams on the West Coast are odd numbered, and Marcus and his brother worked closely with another SEAL that died recently. The author of The American Sniper. Matter of fact, he had the highest sniper count of any serviceman in the history of the military. And unfortunately, he died recently, but Marcus is a great person. I read that book. I have his second book, which is in service. I haven't had a chance to read it yet, but I'll definitely have to go see that movie now.
Well, we're down to less than a minute. Now this, over at UAB, this number I gave, this 205-329-9112, if somebody wants to get in touch with you about the outpost or whatever. But at UAB, you're working with the Veterans Outreach over there also. Absolutely,
yeah. Matter of fact, I'm so proud of my alumni. UAB, we won an award recently of being one of the most veteran-friendly campuses in the country. Coming from this part of Alabama, the greatest per capita number of people to raise their hand and agree to serve our country and defend our Constitution, makes perfect sense that it would be here.
Thank you for raising your hand and serving.
My privilege.
You wrote that blank check one time to the United States of America, and so did a bunch of us, and I appreciate you. Appreciate you doing the show today. We got to go to a break. Come back. I got news that you can use. Stay right there. Be right back. Welcome back to Veterans Issues. Thanks to Colonel Grimes for coming in and doing the show today, and I got a feeling he's going to be back on here several times because we left a bunch of stuff on the table that we didn't get to cover, but fascinating story, and I appreciate him being here in this area. And don't forget Thursday, Friday, and Saturday down in Bynum for the liquidation sale for the outpost goods down there. I'll probably see you down there. Don't be grabbing the stuff that I want. First, I want to talk about the law enforcement tag that we've talked about on here every week, and we'll keep on talking about it. And this is the time of the year when you get your law enforcement tag, or get your tag renewed. This is a good idea here. This is a law enforcement tag. That shield with a rose is symbolic of the National Law Enforcement Memorial in Washington, D.C. This tag that you can buy, you don't have to have any connections with the with law enforcement, but it does say, it expresses a message to the everyone behind you looking at that tag saying these people support law enforcement, and they support it in a great way. That tag, I'm not saying it's going to get you off with a speeding ticket or anything like that, but I will tell you that's going to tell law enforcement who you are, and it'll tell the community who you are. So when you go get your tag, ask for the new law enforcement tag. And now don't forget about, we had a guy on here last week, Oxford Tire, Dale Harbin, 10% discount to the veterans down there. That's for any automotive tires, carburetor, battery, whatever you decide that you need down there. Good people, and they take care of veterans, and I don't get anything for this other than the fact that I'm giving you some good advice on where to get your automotive needs. Now, Veterans Moments that you see on here every week, they're sponsored by Representative K.L. Brown, Barbara Boyd, Steve Hurst, and Randy Wood. And these are bills that's been passed on behalf of the veteran. Tells you what's available to you, and pay attention to those. If you see Randy or any of those people out, Steve Hurst, thank them for putting that information out there. Otherwise, you wouldn't know about it. We showed you last week the new driver's license that I've got, that's got the word veteran on it, for discounts and whatever that's available to you. So now this past week was Pay It Forward week, and I'm gonna say we need to have every week is Pay It Forward week, because I had something on the way to here today to do the show. I always take care of a Pay It Forward, and it was less than $3, but you would have thought that lady had received $1 million thing at Dunkin' Donuts. So pay it forward when you get an opportunity. And if you don't know what that is, give me a call. My information is on the screen right here somewhere. You can contact me, and I'll tell you how to pay it forward, and you'll get a blessing out of it. Now, Veterans Court is looking for some battle buddies. Those are people who will work as mentors for veterans that's in the Veterans Court. Judge Stedham is heading up that court. It's her court, and it's a win-win for the community. And we've talked about it on here many times. Judge Stedham was on here not too long ago. And so if you'd like to be a battle buddy and work with that, give me a call. Just call that same information. And I'm in the phone book if you lose all of that. So if you'd like to be a battle buddy in the Veterans Court. You saw that we still need people to drive the van. We need people to drive the van to Birmingham to take people to their veterans to their appointments. We still need a few of them. Boy, I'm running out of shout-outs. I'm running out of time. Kizzy just keeps cutting me short. But anyhow, I've got to say hello to my little buddy Bella and Caitlin Prim. Thank you for watching, girls, and I love you. And this week's salute goes out to all of those that are serving in harm's way, and to the families that's praying for their safe return. This salute goes to you. We'll see you next week here on Veterans Issues. Salute.